Cowboys have informed Jason Garrett he is out as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. It's official now.
Rappaport says the Cowboys have officially fired Coach Jason Garrett, and Garrett has allowed them to do so.
So I do want to introduce you to the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy.
I won my first Super Bowl here in North Texas at AT&T Stadium, and I just want to tell you I am anxious and excited to get to work on winning the next Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys. I believe this is what I was put on this earth to do professionally.
We need football right now. We won't need it forever, but we need it right now.
Jerry Jones says Mike McCarthy needed the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones needed Mike McCarthy. Welcome to another edition of Special Edition. Bill Jones along with Nate Newton, and we welcome in the great Everson Walls this week in for Rick Goslin, who's off in Canton, Ohio, doing Hall of Fame duties up there. Daryl Johnston is down in Houston doing the XFL training camp duties.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
With the Dallas Renegades. And what a week it has been here at the Star in Frisco. Nate, you want to give Everson the first chance?
Yes, sir. Guest first.
Okay,
guest first. I'm so glad we finally got this done. Everybody was just clamoring. It was as if it was going to take all year. It was only 5 or so days. Right. We finally got it done. I'm happy we got the coach we got, and I believe in this coach. I think he's going to be good for this team.
Jason, hey, love you, man. Kind of outgrew it. 10 years was enough, and sorry to see you go, but here we got Mike McCarthy, great offensive mind, guy that can probably lead this team to another NFC division.
Well, and we'll see what happens in the weeks and months ahead, because it's going to be an off-season of changes, and it's already started here at the Star in Frisco. And let's take you back to Wednesday when Mike McCarthy was introduced as the 9th head coach in Dallas Cowboys history.
Yes, we needed Mike, we needed a coach, but to have his availability and to have his track record and ability to check all the boxes that I just talked about was fortuitous for this franchise.
When I was here on the interview, and here I am sitting across the table, Steven, Jerry Jones, Jerry Jr., Will McClay, Todd Williams, and Jerry's telling a story about the purchase of the Dallas Cowboys, and at the end of the story, he leans over to me and he grabs me by the forearm and reaches out to shake my hand. He says, "And you need to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys."
It's just great to have him, and certainly you look at his track record, it's all been said. It's just it was the right fit for us in terms of what we were wanting to get accomplished with this hire.
I'm just going to say this, and to the fans, and the commitment will be unwavering, but I won my first Super Bowl here in North Texas at AT&T Stadium, and I just want to tell you I am anxious and excited to get to work on winning the next Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys.
It was 9 years ago, the end of the 2010 season, that Mike McCarthy's Green Bay Packers won 4 straight games in the playoffs, culminating in a Super Bowl victory at AT&T Stadium. That same month is when Jason Garrett was introduced as the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys 9 years ago. And it's interesting, McCarthy's resume against the Cowboys. In fact, in the last decade, a 7-1 record against the Cowboys, including 2 crucial playoff wins against Dallas as well. And why do you think, Everson, that Mike McCarthy is the right fit for the Cowboys right now?
As you can see, the young folks call it thirsty. He really wanted to be here. You could just tell he was a little bit excited to be there. By his statements, you can tell he's a bit overwhelmed. And also, you can see that they were both selling each other. Jerry he was surprised that you've got someone of his caliber, of McCarthy's caliber, that's still out there, and that's why they took their time. They knew that he was going to be out there for them, and as far as I'm concerned, they could have let him stay out there another week. He still would have been waiting on the Cowboys to give him a call. That's how much he wants to be here. And to me, I think we're very fortunate to have someone, like you said, when they check the boxes, you have a good relationship with quarterbacks. You have a good relationship with the front office. I think that's important. You can tell he wants to be friends with the front office. Don't want to shake any chains right now.
I think that this guy is good for us because, number one, he's been there and done that on all levels. First round of the playoffs, second round, all the way to the NFC Championship to the playoffs. He knows how to handle quarterbacks. He's been with Joe Montana and some of the greats. So, you know, he can put the finishing touches on Dak. Dak has worked diligently these last 4 years. Now he can put the finishing touches on him and let him take command of this offense by the 7th or 8th game.
And that coaching staff is taking shape by the day. We get into that and much more on the hiring of Mike McCarthy when Special Edition continues in a moment.
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Salvation Army, doing the most good. And by AT&T. This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. The Texas Lottery proudly supports Texas education and veterans. Play the Texas Lottery today.
Of course, the Cowboys not the only team in the coaching news. Let's take a look at what's transpired around the NFL this week. The Giants hired Joe Judge as their new head coach, replacing Pat Shurmur. 38 years old, spent the past 8 years with the Patriots, primarily as their special teams coach. Also served as a wide receivers coach this past season. Carolina Panthers also made a splash, hiring former Baylor coach Matt Rule. According to reports, Rule and the Giants were in heavy talks, but New York decides not to match Carolina's 7-year, $62 million contract offer. So Matt Rule now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, just 1 year experience as an assistant offensive line coach.
I am in the wrong business, bro. I am in the wrong business. I can see that now.
Everson Walls, Nate Newton, and we're talking about the coaching carousel, and especially here at the Star, of course, Mike McCarthy, the new head coach of your Dallas Cowboys. And on the offensive side of the football, the one thing we know, it appears Kellen Moore is staying on as offensive coordinator. What do you think about that, Nate?
I think it's a good move as long as he stayed in a learning mode, as long as he followed coach around, help him put the game plan together, you know, assign him to like goal line, short yardage once he learns the offense. But other than that right there, Mike McCarthy is the play caller.
I really wish they would have given him a chance to see if he would have gone to Washington. Like, okay, go ahead, Kellen. We'll be okay. I mean, he'd be like, I'm coming back. But no, you don't really want to go to a college atmosphere after you've been the offensive coordinator for one of the better organizations in the NFL. Also, Coach McCarthy's coming here.
Yes.
You're talking about a guy that's been worked with all the quarterbacks that you talked about. You're going to learn so much, Kellen, from just sitting back and watching Coach McCarthy. It's going to do well for you in the future. Kellen's going to be a head coach one of these days based on this experience right here.
It's going to be a good experience for him working under McCarthy. Okay, on the defensive side of the football, you know, you go back to 2005, and McCarthy was hired as a San Francisco offensive coordinator by Mike Nolan. And Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, has a rich history, family history here in Dallas, as his father, Dick Nolan.
The original Marlboro, man.
That's exactly right, the original Marlboro, man.
In fact,
you took my line.
In fact, let's have Everson talk about Mike Nolan first, because you played for Dick Nolan, who was your position coach.
I played for Dick Nolan, who also played with Tom Landry. Dick Nolan was a great coach. He told better stories than he was a coach, I got to say. He had better stories. But when you look at Mike Nolan, I really don't see much success here lately. When you look at his history, every team he's been on, they've had issues. But being with the New Orleans Saints really kind of changed his fate a little bit. Coaching linebackers, that's really his style. He's going to bring a different linebacker play here to the Dallas Cowboys, but I hope he understands the luxury that he has offensively. He's never had that before. So I look forward to his fortune changing a little bit defensively.
I tell you what, you know, he likes to run that 3-4, but he's going to bring those concepts into a 4-3, which he's had time with 4-3s, but the 3-4-3 is what we run. So he's going to bring those concepts, and like you said off air, that these linebackers are going to have to be different. They're going to have to play a physical brand of he's going to ask them to come up and fill holes.
Bust that bubble, baby. Bust that bubble.
All right, we got more special edition coming up in just a moment. How about those impending free agents?
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. The Texas Lottery proudly supports Texas education and veterans. Play the Texas Lottery today. This segment is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas.
His philosophy as far as offense is concerned, and I don't think that's going to change greatly. But I do think what he'll do is try to incorporate what Dak feels very comfortable with. And I go back to when Mike Holmgren and I first started working together. Mike called plays that Joe Montana and Steve Young ran very well, that maybe I didn't read as well or was very good at executing. And so he had to adjust. And I think that's exactly what Mike McCarthy will do with Dak.
Favre this past week talking about Mike McCarthy after McCarthy was named the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, McCarthy coached Favre the last 2 years he had him in Green Bay, and then Aaron Rodgers took over. Look at those impending free agents on the offensive side of the ball for the Dallas Cowboys. As we welcome you back here to Special Edition, Bill Jones with Nate Newton and Everson Walls. And let's talk about McCarthy and that top free agent on the left-hand side there. That would be Dak Prescott, who is not going to be in free agency, by the way. One way or the other, the Cowboys are keeping Dak Prescott. How key is it, though, McCarthy working with Dak?
Like I said before, he will give him the finishing touches, man. With the short passing game that the West Coast present, he's going to be able to get the ball out of his hand quicker. He's going to force defenses to make quicker reads, and this is where we can get Zeke more involved with the passing game. He will put the finishing touches on Dak, and he will be making plenty of cash.
And will one of those guys that he is throwing to be again Randall Cobb, the former Packer who is at the press conference on Wednesday? He might have been the happiest guy in the room since he is a free agent, and his old coach is coming here to Dallas now, Everson.
Hey, home has come to Randall. Randall is so happy right now. But one person that might be a little bit shaky right now is our boy Coop. Because now all of a sudden, Coop's not the guy. Yeah. Cobb's going to be the guy, which I think he should have been the entire time. To have someone like a tight end in a tight end position closer to you, being at that slot position on third down, he is going to all of a sudden jump ahead of Cooper in regards to how important he's going to be to this game plan and to Dak Prescott's success. Because that just like hot sauce that we lost, now we got some Cobb sauce. Okay, we got Cobb sauce now. This is going to be good for the Cowboys.
All right, when we come back here on Special Edition, we turn our attention to this Dallas defense, and it needs a lot of attention.
This segment was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by AT&T.
Just like Bill Parcells or any other head coach, he'll be very involved. As a matter of fact, I want to put words in his mouth. He said, it sounds like I'm going to have a bigger voice than I had in Green Bay in terms of, how we go about building consensus. But obviously he's not going to talk about staff today, but we've been working on the staff for days now. And, he's rolling up his sleeves right away. He went right home to get packed up, and, he's coming back boots on the ground, ready to go to work. And, as you know, Will McClay's doing his job, going full speed ahead in terms of personnel. And, of course, we have to be looking at our own players versus, free agents. And as we all know, we've got a couple of contracts out here that are very important that we continue to work to get done. And so it's the NFL. There's no off season. So everybody be full speed ahead in terms of getting this team ready.
So let's look at these defensive free agents. It might take the rest of the show to go through all of these guys. There's that many unrestricted free agents for the Cowboys.
They're not all that important.
Well, some of them are important. And as we welcome you back here to Special Edition with Everson Walls and Nate Newton, let's pinpoint a couple of those. And Everson, I'm going to give you first. All right, Cowboys, should they sign Byron Jones or let's say Robert Quinn?
Man, that's tough because I know Byron very well. Don't know Quinn at all, but I do have to say our need on that D-line is more important at this point to provide that pressure. I think Quinn coming around the outside has really showed us what that pressure can do for you in key moments. Not just pressure, but tackles for losses. But then you also look at Byron Jones, guy who is an amazing athlete, makes the Pro Bowl with 0 interceptions. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't even know how to handle that. How do I take that? But this lets you know he is one of those guys that can play more than one position. I'd love to see him, and I know Nate's going against me, I'd love to see him play safety for the Cowboys. He was that combine darling for everybody. He can do more than one thing. I think he'd be better utilized at the safety position.
So you think back to safety for Byron Jones?
Back to safety
if
for
they
Byron
do re-sign him.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
so what about Sean Lee or Jeff Heath, Nate? What do you think?
I like Sean Lee for one reason. He is that guy that keeps this defense together. He keeps those young guys at the linebacker position going. You know, he keeps their heads in the books and understanding what's going on. He'll be a great guy to translate for this new coach to these young guys. But you know what? I also like Heath as a third safety. He's a do-all everything guy. He's a special team guy. We need both of those guys back. If I had to have one, I'm going to have to have Sean Lee because I need his knowledge.
And the key word there on Jeff Heath is the third safety. Yes. And we move into 4-down territory on Special Edition when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' films and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
I had a great high school football coach. The guy's name was Cliff Faust, and kind of a legendary coach in Northeast Ohio. And my senior year, I was playing quarterback. He was more of a defensive guy, but he wanted to coach the quarterback, so he coached me, and he coached me as hard as anybody's ever coached me in my life. And his big thing was, get back, get back, get back, stand tall, stand tall, stand tall. And, at the time, I needed to get away from the line of scrimmage faster and better, and I probably played too low, and he wanted me to stand up a little bit higher. And it wasn't until years later that I realized, what he was talking about when he was saying stand tall. Stand tall through the successes in life, stand tall through the adversities in life. And I got great letters from him over the last 25 years. When good things were happening and maybe some challenging things were happening, he always concluded the letter by saying, stand tall, coach.
Final couple of minutes here of Special Edition. Bill Jones along with Newton and Everson Walls as we put a wrap on this Cowboys season. This is our final edition of Special Edition and our final trip into 4-down territory. First down, here's your question. Why didn't Jason Garrett get it done with the Cowboys?
Nate don't want to answer this. I'm going to answer it. I've always been a player that believed that the players make the coaches. And I believe that his players let him down, especially on the defensive end. When you call a play, you expect your players to carry it out. I don't think they did that for the entire year.
Bye, Jason.
All right, we move on to second down. Do you like the additions of John Fossil, special teams coach, and Jim Tomsula, defensive line coach?
I love Coach Fossil. I know that he's a great special team coach. He will ask that his starters be accountable. He'll ask that everybody be accountable. That is a great find right there in Coach John Fossil.
Tim Tomsula, I like him as well. That D-line needs to have a different attitude, a consistent attitude. That's what we did not have last year.
All right, now we go to third down. And on third down, what position group needs the most attention this offseason?
We need for our whole defense
the
to pay
entire
attention.
defense.
But mainly our linebackers. Y'all are the heart and soul of what's happening Y'all are the guys that we call finishers versus the short passes and the runs. Y'all need to tackle better, so we need help, and we need to be consistent at our linebacker.
Mike Nolan's going to tell them the same thing.
All right.
The exact same thing.
All right, we got 30 seconds for fourth down. Will the Cowboys be back in the playoffs in 2020?
Yes, sir.
I give you 2 seconds. Yes, they
sir.
will do. Yeah, you're talking 2 homers here, so.
Cowboys, here we go.
These two had the Cowboys in the Super Bowl in 2019.
Sure did.
And in the playoffs in 2020.
I said
let's
championship.
take it a step
I said
further.
championship
Super
game.
Bowl.
Super Bowl, baby.
I'm going Super Bowl this year.
Go.
Yeah,
That does it for special edition for this season. It's going to be a great 2020. We thank you for joining us all season long here on Special Edition from the Star in Frisco.